What is going on, everybody? This is Drew here. I want to welcome you all to a brand new episode of Phoenix Down. This is Phoenix Down 108.0, and we are beginning a brand new series with Yakuza 3. We've done 0, we've done 1, 2, and now we're moving on to 3. We're going to get through all of these eventually, come hell or high water. But today I have with me Matt.
Hello, friends.
And, man, it's been a while.
Yeah, back to Yakuza.
Back to Yakuza. We were thinking, should we put Yakuza on the back burner to do something? But no, we'll stick with it.
Yeah, and as expected, I have gotten shockingly little done as far as NaNoWriMo.
Oh, well, no.
I expected nothing from this month, and I'm getting nothing, so right on track.
Yeah. So we're gonna go and play Orphanage Simulator.
Yep.
But yeah. So as we do with every first of our series, we talk about our history with the game itself. Once you get into the mid parts of Yakuza, you ask somebody their history with it, and I'm like, I don't know what I was doing then. Because it was
all blur.
Yeah, so I do have a little bit of history. So obviously I played Yakuza 1 and 2 on the PlayStation 2. And when I found out that they were actually bringing, because since Yakuza 2, it had been forever since we had seen a Yakuza game. And Yakuza 3, I remember they said that it was coming to the U.S., and I got really excited. At this point, I had already introduced Yakuza to my roommates, my friends, and stuff like that, and they kind of dug it too. And I remember my roommate created a Japanese PSN account because there was a Japanese demo for Yakuza 3. And so he downloaded it, and of course we can't read anything. We don't understand what they're saying. There's no subtitles or anything like that. So we just played through it, and I said, "Oh man, this looks amazing. This looks fantastic. This is like, this is PlayStation 3 graphics here." And I was like, "Okay, I'm down." Day one, like when this game comes out, and I pre-ordered it. My roommate worked at GameStop, so he went in and threw in a pre-order, and I picked it up the day it came out, and we played through it, and I think we played through a lot of this game on our old stream back when we streamed a lot.
Oh, nice.
So I was all in. In fact, I think if you go back and look at my Twitter, I know I posted some pictures of Yakuza 3 because some of these kids make the creepiest faces in the world. And I remember taking a picture of my television and posting it to Twitter. That was years and years ago, so you can go and try and find that if you want to. But yeah, I mean, my history with the game is I totally played this day one when it came out. If you would have asked me a week ago, do you remember anything that happens in Yakuza 3, I would tell you no. Mm-hmm. As I've played through it to this point, we made it to Chapter 4, or we made it to the end of Chapter 4. It's coming back to me. Like I remember specifically, oh yeah, I remember this part, but it's not one of those, oh, I know what happens next now. It's always like when it happens, like, oh right, I remember this. Yeah. But, Matt, what about you?
I think, as will be the case for every upcoming Yakuza game, I have no history. The only thing I really have is the comments that I've heard about this game and kind of the middle part of the series, knowing that the full remakes are done, we're back to just remasters, and knowing that there was a little bit of a ping pong where Yakuza 0 for me was amazing, Kiwami 1 was okay, Kiwami 2 was better, and then I feel like this is going to be another low point from what I've heard. So not really any history, but more just building off of the Yakuza games we've played. I'm just curious to see how these middle games stack up.
Sure. So, Yakuza 3 came out in 2009. So it had been a good amount of time since I had played Yakuza 2. But yeah,
It came out on the PS3, and I was heavy into the PS3 in 2009. I just knew nothing about the Yakuza series.
had you heard of the Yakuza series at that point? Or can you remember?
If I heard anything about it at this point, it was just like, hey, it's kind of like GTA, but Japanese. That's like it for my experience with it. I don't even think I ever saw really a trailer of it, certainly not of these middle games.
Right.
That I can remember.
If I remember correctly, Yakuza 3 was the first kind of big blip on the map for the United States. People were talking about this. Definitely, it was still definitely a niche title, but it was definitely getting a lot more eyes on it than the PlayStation 2 games were. And I want to say Yakuza 3 came out and it had that niche audience. Toward the end of Yakuza 3's span, I would say, right before Yakuza 4 came out, I think it started picking up ground more there, because I remember Yakuza 4 being a more talked about game.
Yeah.
So I think after a year or so of Yakuza 3 being out, people in the United States were like, hey, have you guys checked out this Yakuza game? It's actually pretty cool. And it's goofy and you know, like it features like a very serious character, but he's put in these goofy situations, that kind of thing. And I think it started to get more ground then. Like Yakuza 3 was definitely a more popular game than any of the PlayStation 2 games by far.
Yeah. Looking at this list now, I'm not surprised I missed it. 2009 was a pretty good year for games, if this list is accurate. I mean, just looking at what else came out that year: Uncharted 2, one of my favorite games of all time; Modern Warfare 2, Street Fighter 4, Assassin's Creed 2, God of War Collection, Killzone 2, Batman Arkham Asylum, Demon's Souls. I mean, that Dragon Age Origins.
Damn.
I mean, that's a pretty good year.
That's a hell of a year.
Ratchet and Clank, Future, A Crack in Time, Pixel Junk Shooter, Guitar Hero 5, Red Faction Guerrilla, Infamous, Resident Evil 5. I mean, it's just an insane number of games that came out in 2009.
Yeah, no kidding. Yeah. Holy crap.
Borderlands, Trine, Brutal Legend.
There you go.
So, I mean, even if I had been inclined towards checking out Yakuza, I was in the throes of it. I mean, this was the heyday of the generation, essentially.
Right. The weird thing is that Yakuza 3 may have been the jumping on point for a lot of people, but that game does not pull any punches to say, you know who these characters are, and you know what happened in the past two games. They start right up. So
it was actually one of my favorite things starting this game is I'm like, oh wow, I really feel like I'm involved, right? Like I know what's happened, and a lot of things have happened recently in world for Kiryu. So, I kind of feel like that part of it I did like. That I didn't feel like I was wasting a lot of time. Like they really do throw you right into it.
Oh yeah, definitely. So I kind of want to approach the story. I mean, obviously we'll catch up to where we're supposed to be by the end of this episode, but I want to start with all of the stuff in the past and then work my way up, because I don't like how they handled this, where the first chapter is basically present day and something major has happened, and then the next three chapters are 12 months ago, 6 months
Yeah.
ago. And I'm just like, come on, guys. Like, really? I mean, you couldn't, first off, you couldn't condense probably 3 of these chapters down into one chapter.
Yeah, if I have one overarching comment for this whole session that we played, it's that every 5 minutes I thought this whole section was going to end and we were going to get back to the real Yakuza series.
Right.
And then chapter after chapter, I'm like, is this the whole game? Like, I don't understand. If this is an intro, this is a long intro.
No, it's 4 chapters of just, man.
Yeah, it's really 4 chapters that should have been 1, or 3 chapters that should have been 1.
Yes, most certainly. So, let's start with in the past. It has been a year since the events of Yakuza 2. Daigo Dojima has taken over as the 6th chairman of the Tojo clan. And Kiryu is meeting up with a now older Haruka. I think she's, 12 here?
Yeah, that's about right.
And he also meets up with, Saya? Is that her name? The detective from the second game?
Yeah.
Okay. And she says that she's actually going off to the United States to do a training course there with the police force. So she is leaving. And Kiryu is like, all right, well, I am actually going to start a new job since I have left the Yakuza for good. I am going to go and be the director of Morning Glory Orphanage.
My first thought was the comic series.
The Morning Glories, yeah.
Yeah. I'm like, oh, what's going to happen at this orphanage?
Yeah. Morning Glories, oh man. That is such a great comic series. Anybody out there who's never read it, Morning Glories is fantastic. So I highly suggest it. If you like the TV show Lost, you'll probably like Morning Glories because it's like crazy and weird like that, where it's just like, what? What's going on? But yeah, Morning Glory Orphanage, which is obviously where Kiryu grew up. And he's going to be taking over as the manager, owner, parent of the orphanage. Chef, even though Haruka does all the cooking. But yeah. So we have to say goodbye to people in Kamurocho, and we walk around. We say goodbye to everybody at Stardust, and the last big thing we got to do is go and talk to a very important person to make sure that they keep an eye on the new 6th chairman of the Tojo clan. Make sure he doesn't fall into any problems. So we go to talk to Majima. And Majima is not very happy that we're leaving. And he says...
Unsurprisingly, he's got something he wants to do about it.
Yeah. And he also says, nobody tells me what to do. And if you want to tell me what to do, you got to fight me for it. So, of course, our first boss fight is with Majima, Goro Majima. After kicking the crap out of him, he's like, okay, fine. I'll watch after Daigo for you. And so we leave. And so begins the next 6 months to a year, because it's like 2 years, right?
Yeah, 2 years total, I think, yeah.
Yeah. Of raising these children at Morning Glory Orphanage, which I should say is in Okinawa, which is on the island. Is it the island of Okinawa, or is that just the name of the town or the city?
No, I think it's on the island.
Okay. So yeah, and it's on the beach, and we've got all these little kids, and Haruka's there as well, and all right, I'll get to the big stuff, but let's talk about running the friggin' orphanage. Well, there are tons of missions, and they're not side missions. They are missions that are part of the story. And I understand why they're here. They're trying to show that Kiryu now has a history with these children. They see him as a father figure. And you're establishing trust with these kids, and shows that Kiryu cares for them. But what it boils down to is boring fetch quests. Go here, go there, go here, go there, go here, go there. Go buy this. Bring a ball back. It's that kind of thing, and I'm just like, man, this is a slog.
Yeah, a lot of back and forth from the orphanage into the local city.
Yeah.
Then back.
So, spread throughout this, we also have a few run-ins with the local Yakuza of Okinawa. And it first starts off with, there's these two weird dudes in a truck that keep staring at the orphanage. They park outside the orphanage and just stare at it for hours. And the kids are like, hey, have you noticed this? And Kiryu's like, what? And then they drive off. They get freaked out and drive off because they see Kiryu looking at them. So Kiryu's like, well, I'm going to go talk to him. So we go into town, and we find them, and it's these two guys. You got Mikio, I think is his name.
Yep, Mikio.
And
heavier blonde guy.
Yep. And you have Rikia, who I will forever call Ricky. Rikia.
Yeah, I was calling him Adam Sandler for a little bit.
He does look a little bit like Adam Sandler, doesn't he? Like a young Adam Sandler. But, yeah. So these two guys are part of a family in Okinawa, the Ryudo family. The Ryudo family is a kind of a small family, based out of there. I'm assuming the Ryudo family is part of the Tojo clan?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay. So, yeah. I'm guessing... Hang on a second. I'm looking this up because I really want to know. Yeah, they are part of the Tojo clan. But, yeah, so... we finally corner him, have a boss fight with him, Ricky, I should say, and he's like, all right, I want you to take me to your boss because I want to know what the hell you guys are doing. Why you guys keep showing up? I want to talk to him. Tell your boss to leave my orphanage alone.
Yeah, because they keep dropping off eviction notices.
Yeah, and so. We go and meet the head of the family, which is Nakahara. Now, Nakahara is an older Yakuza, and he has a daughter, and we see that when we go into his office, and he tells his daughter to leave. She's writing in a sketchbook. And Nakahara's like, all right, here's the deal. The Tojo clan owns the land that the orphanage is on. Now, there is a thing happening in Okinawa right now where two big players are wanting to purchase the land. One of them is a guy who is wanting to build a new resort there. And the other one is the Ministry of Defense wants to put a military base there. particularly a U.S. military base, I'm assuming.
Yeah.
And it's up for bids right now. And they're offering a good sum of money to take this land. And they're trying to buy up all the land around it. So the Tojo clan, I guess, assumes, well, we should get involved in this. We don't necessarily need that land, so why don't we just sell it? So somebody from the mainland has positioned Nakahara to basically say, we'll pay you to just leave, get out. And of course, Kiryu is like, yeah, freaking the lone wonder, Ryu. Kiryu's like, look, I got a bunch of kids here. I'm not going to leave. Like, where the hell are we supposed to go? And Nakahara's not having any of it. He pulls out a sword and he's like, you really want to start this with us? We're the freaking Yakuza. And of course, Kiryu's like, yeah, and I used to be the 4th chairman of the Tojo clan, jackass.
Yeah, nobody recognizes him or knows who he is.
Nobody knows who he is, yeah. And he's like, you come around my orphanage again, you're gonna get some hurting. So he leaves. So I say all that to say this. Some things go down. A rival family kidnaps Nakahara's daughter, which is it Sumi? What's
Saki.
Saki. Yeah. And Ricky shows up and is like, dude, you got to help us. Like, the boss is pissed drunk. He doesn't know what to do. He thinks that his daughters ran away. And of course, we're like, okay, well, we'll go help him. So we show up, and she's somewhere in the city. So we go into the city, come to find out she has actually been kidnapped. And they think it was from her mother. So we find out that Nakahara isn't her real father. He adopted her or took her in because she saw her father commit suicide, and her mother is like a drunk, very mean woman. And Nakahara thinks that, she just doesn't want to be around me. She wants to go back to her mom. Well, what actually happened was it was a rival family. A rival family has propositioned her mother to take her in, so that way they could leverage Nakahara for the deed to the property of the orphanage. While this is all going on, they steal the deed anyway. So I'm just like, what? But anyway, we have a boss fight with the other family. I can't remember what this dude's name was or the name of his damn family. I think this may be him. I'm clicking on people here to see if I can figure it out.
Oh, Tamashiro?
Tamashiro, that's right. Tetsuo Tamashiro. Yeah. He is the one who propositioned the mother to take in the child. And he promised the mother that they would, live together and be with each other. It's very embarrassing to watch this.
Yeah.
I'm just like, ooh. And of course, the mother really doesn't want the child. The child is traumatized because when she saw her father kill himself in front of her, she was so traumatized that she became a mute. So she's
probably more traumatized since with the way her mom treats her.
Yeah. So she doesn't speak. She just writes down stuff, and she also sketches in her sketchbook. And so we go in, beat the crap out of Tamashiro. Tamashiro is a piece of crap who's wanting to get his hands on the deed to the orphanage so he can sell it. Well, that didn't work out. And the big revelation of that the mom really doesn't want anything to do with her. And
so it was like the worst thing that ever happened to her.
Yeah. And of course Nakahara shows up and he's like, God, how could you say that to your own daughter? And so come to find out she's been sketching in her sketchbook, and she sketched a picture of Nakahara with a big smile on his face, and he's like, oh, so she actually does like me and care about me. And so after that, Kiryu becomes a ally to the family. I think he said, well, before we saved her, he's like, don't think you're going to get into my good graces because you're helping me here.
Yeah.
After this, he has a new lease on life, and it's like, okay, fine. Kiryu, I want you to be my sworn brother.
Yep, and I will never evict you.
Yes. And so while we're doing the little ritual of being sworn brothers by, I guess, drinking sake with each other, lo and behold, here comes somebody in. Coming into the office is none other than Daigo. And
the suits.
The suits. Yeah, hey, Daigo has really cleaned up. He's not wearing that puffed up jacket anymore. And he also brought along with him another guy. He's the assistant to the Secretary of Defense, or the Defense Minister. He's like the right-hand man to him, or the advisor to him. And he's like, yeah, we're currently working on this whole deal with the Ministry of Defense, with all this land. And of course, Ryu, I keep saying Ryu, gosh, Kiryu is still not budging, like, look, I'm not getting rid of my orphanage. And Daigo's like, I'm not forcing you to, but I'm just letting you know what's going down the pipeline. And the Ministry of Defense guy is like, I actually don't want the military base to be there. Contrary to who I work for, I actually want the resort to be there because he is a native to Okinawa. He wants to see commerce and the city and the island to thrive. Because if you just put a military base on there, it's just going to bring in a bunch of United States dudes who are just going to, just clog up the place. It's not going to help the town. And of course, Kiryu's like, well, that doesn't make much sense. Why are you working for the other guy then?
Yeah. Yeah, it's interesting that Kiryu and Daigo have, they're friendly, but they're not overly friendly with each other.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess maybe they never were super close, but they've been through a lot together.
Mm-hmm. They have. They most certainly have. But yeah. So.
I mean, even when Daigo says, or like, when Kiryu says not like that he's going to stay on this land, and Daigo's like, well, I can keep them away from you for a while, basically, until this guy becomes the new minister. But then after that, I did like this part where, it was almost like they were, again, trying to be friendly without being too friendly. Where I like the banter that they had when Daigo's like, well, I can only keep him away for so long. And then Kiryu, and he's like, you'll be like 60 and, over the hill by the time this guy ascends to be the Minister of Defense. And at that point, you won't care anymore. And then Kiryu's like, well, I'll still be tough and I can still beat you at that point.
Yeah.
I'll still be formidable or something. I don't know. Just the wording and the banter that they had, I really liked. It's been one of the high points for me throughout these 3 1/3 games so far. Has just been the writing. I really think that the translations are sometimes surprisingly good to me.
Yeah.
Even little things like, oh, I'm going to hit the hay. I'm like, oh, really? I didn't know if that kind of a phrase would be so universal. And I guess there's no reason it wouldn't be, but
I'm sure they take some liberties because
yeah,
the I've seen it multiple times in the Yakuza series. I've never heard anybody in my life say this as an exclamation. When something happens, they say the shit. I've never heard anybody say that before in my life, but they say it multiple times here. So I'm just like, what? All right, but yeah, yeah.
I don't know. I've just really enjoyed the translations, and I feel like the banter amps up the character interactions a bit.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. But yeah, so, all right, do all of that. I don't know when this actually takes place. I think it's like 6 months ago or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Cut to modern day, which is 2009 for this game. We've already became friends with the local Yakuza that are on the island. Ricky is basically calling Kiryu Aniki now.
Yeah, which I had to pause and look up what that meant in this context.
What does that mean?
It means like big brother.
Okay, big brother. Okay.
And they have a funny conversation there where Kiryu's like, "Stop calling me that."
Yeah, he's like, what's with this Aniki stuff? And he's like, you're my Aniki. He's like, no, I'm not. Stop calling me that. Why are you calling me that? He's like, I call everybody that. So, but yeah, so Ricky actually shows up to the orphanage and is like, you've got to come quick. The boss has been shot. And you're like, what? So, boss has been rushed to the hospital. And everybody's waiting there, including his daughter. And she has wrote out a sketch. She saw who shot Nakahara. We look at the sketch, and everybody's like, do you know who that is? And Kiryu's like, oh yeah, I know exactly who that is.
It just can't be him.
It can't be that guy. It can't be him. And then we see the sketch, and oh look, it's a picture of dear old dad himself, Kazuma. Kazuma, if everybody remembers, has been dead for 3 years. We actually saw him die, and we had a funeral for him. But, yeah, that's who she saw that shot Nakahara. At the same time, Kiryu gets word. Not only has Nakahara been shot, so has the big boss of the Tojo clan. So Daigo has also been shot in Kamurocho. What
happens when you're the head?
Mm-hmm.
You attract some unwanted attention.
So and so I say all of that because we see the majority of this at the very beginning of the game. Like I said, we see modern day, and then it cuts back to a year earlier, 6 months earlier, and then we finally catch back up in chapter 4. And I'm like, I really hated the way they handled that because I kind of like the build up to it.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like they've done that a few times though, because didn't we see? I guess it was a little bit of a twist, but when you see Kiryu standing over the body at the beginning of
Dojima,
yeah. I mean, they do like to tease you with something big at the beginning usually.
Yeah, that's true. I guess. So, yeah. But at the beginning of the game, we get the cutscenes of Daigo, basically saying, nope, we're not doing this deal. I don't care how much money they're offering. I'm not doing it. And he's telling over the phone, and then he goes to have a meeting at the Tojo Clan headquarters, and when he's in his office, dude walks up. Oh, look, it's Kazuma, and Kazuma pulls out a gun and totally shoots him and tells him, like, you need to sign this. Like, Kazuma's like, you need to sign this. And he's like, I already told everybody I'm not doing this deal. And so Kazuma shoots him.
Yep, no remorse.
Yeah, no remorse. So, Nakahara's in the hospital on Okinawa. Daigo's been shot. Kiryu's like, I've got to go. I've got to go to Kamurocho. I have to.
You think he'd get out of there in a rush at that point. He does not.
No. The kids really want to play baseball with him. And the kids really want to go play hide and seek with him.
And go get some food with him.
Yep, and go to the supermarket with him and get some food. And a whole bunch of other stuff that I really don't care for. But needless to say, after all that's said and done, we finally get to go back to Kamurocho. And I should say that the entire time we're on the beach in Okinawa, Kiryu's wearing a Hawaiian shirt.
Yeah, a red Hawaiian shirt.
And then he finally switches back to his suit. I figured there'd be a little bit more fanfare with that.
Yeah.
It's his classic suit.
All you get is the kids being like, oh, what's with the clothes?
Yeah. And he's like, oh, these are my business clothes. So, going back, we arrive at Kamurocho, and we're getting cutscenes, flashes of all these different people. These are the new heads of families for the Tojo clan, and they're all getting ready. Like, oh, there's a big meeting. Everybody's getting ready for this big meeting. And we're introduced to 4 different people. And here's the thing that got me, because I always thought it was a staple in the Yakuza series. I can't remember. But this game is the first game we have played that hasn't had they introduce a character, they pause the game and go, dun, dun, and then show their name and what their rank is.
Yeah.
Those are really helpful, and we're not getting them in this game.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what? I don't know who this guy is. So, yeah, they're not doing that. And so I don't know who any of these guys are. In fact, I can't remember who most of these guys are. But we do run into one other. We run into another guy who obviously is a bad guy. He is... when we make it back to Kamurocho, there's some ruckus going on at Stardust.
As is usually the case with that
When
place.
is there never ruckus going on at Stardust?
Yeah.
So, yeah. Kazuki and Yuya are there, and they're getting razzled by some Yakuza, part of the Tojo clan, particularly part of the Nishikiyama clan. Oh, good old Nishikiyama. Nishiki
Rip.
is DED dead, but a new person has taken over the family. It's I don't even know how to Hasabi.
He's part of the family. Yeah, I don't think he's the head of it though.
Oh, he's not the head of it?
No, the head of it I think is the heavier bald guy.
Ah, Kanda.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So, yeah, Hasabe is probably like a lieutenant for them.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Doing the shakedowns.
Yeah, he's doing the shakedown of Stardust. He wants to pay Stardust, I can't remember how much it was, like 500 million yen. 500 million yen to give up Stardust for a month so that they can use it as a headquarters for their little operation that they're going to be doing. Everybody that we see in all these cutscenes are basically gearing up for war. There is going to be a big Yakuza war going on, especially now that the sixth chairman is now in the hospital. He's wounded. He's not dead, but he's definitely wounded. They're like, oh boy, people are going to start fighting now to see they can take over the Tojo clan.
Yeah, fighting for the future of Kamurocho.
That's right. So, the Nishiyama family is trying to take over Stardust. And, Kiryu walks in and is like, nope, that's not going to happen. So we have a nice boss fight with Hasabe. And, yeah.
None of the fights in this game have been very hard so far. I
don't think so.
Taken a while. Like, this one took a little while, but just because he was blocking a lot. But, I haven't really come close to dying on any of the fights yet.
I haven't either. And I guess we should describe a little bit about how this game works, because it seems like every Yakuza game has a different upgrading system.
Yeah.
This one is more of the old school Yakuza, like Yakuza 1 and 2, like PlayStation 2 version, where you get experience points by doing certain things, particularly beating enemies and completing the sub-stories. And the experience basically adds to a meter that fills up. Each time it fills up, it gives a 1 there, 2, 3, 4. And you can have banked amounts of meters. And then you have 4 skill trees. It's not even a tree. It's 4 skills that you can level up. So you basically hold down the button and you fill up that bar using the bar of experience points.
Yeah, that's what I thought was the strangest, is that you don't really make choices there.
So there are some choices. So after you hit like maybe level 3, you get to choose between 1 or 2 things that you can learn. So next time you're leveling up, you can click left or right and say, do you want this ability or do you want this ability?
Oh, that's kind of cool.
Yeah. So, there's tech, spirit, body, and
heat.
Yeah. On top of all of that, you can learn new abilities by having inspirations. So one of the big things with Yakuza 3 and that they introduced was the fact that you can now go into first person mode and look around. And there are points in the game where you can look at something and you can have an inspirational moment. So Kiryu starts a blog and he anything that he finds inspirational, he will put in his blog and he will learn a new move. We learned this from the tutorial, the first part of it being there is a woman who is riding a scooter. She's not paying attention because she's looking at a billboard with a model on it, and she's staring at it. She hits a car in front of her and does a complete flip and then lands and then keeps going. And Kiryu, which is one of the best cutscenes in the game, will see it. So he's always looking. He always has dead eyes. He has dead eyes the entire game. He has his dead eyes looking straight ahead, and he turns to the camera and goes, "Huh?" And then watches this happen, and then he gets out his flip phone and starts typing really furiously, and then he hits send. And he has an inspirational moment. It's the dumbest little cutscene ever. But I remember playing this game, and I was like, every time it happened, I went, yay. Because it's so dumb looking. But, you can learn new abilities that way. There's also trainers throughout the city that you can learn stuff from as well. But, yeah. That's basically the end of Chapter 4. Whenever we beat this guy in Stardust, he tells us, well, you better get ready because there's going to be a big fight coming up. with all the Yakuza guys, and you're invited. So that's it. That's all I can think of.
Yeah, feels like we're back. Like now with Chapter 5, it's going to start the kind of standard family on family warring that's kind of been throughout the rest of the games. So it does feel like those first 4 chapters were really just the intro.
Yeah, it really was. I mean, I feel like those four chapters were trying to establish that Kiryu is a changed man, and he's trying to take care of these kids.
Yeah, and I feel about it the way I feel about a lot of what you almost might call down sections of stories, is that if they use this to build his connections and they bring it back in some kind of an emotional way, then I really like the beginning of this game.
Sure.
If they don't do that, it just seems like a little bit of a pointless detour.
Given my history with Yakuza series, I think it's going to be a pointless detour.
Because they could. I mean...
Yeah, they could.
If more things happen with the orphanage, if some things happen with some of the kids, I don't know if this is the kind of game that will have too many kids die. Seems a little bit more lighthearted than that, even with all the rest of the deaths that happen in the game. But if that does happen, right, now we've spent some time with the kids. We really understand how much Kiryu cares about the kids and, is really invested in them and finding one of them a dog and making sure one of them looks cool so we can try to win the date that he wants. So, you spend quite a lot of time with these kids over the first few chapters. So, I don't know. If that comes back, then I'm more okay with having spent that time with them.
Yeah, and I would be too. The thing is, I don't remember enough of this game to tell you if it does actually happen. I think it does because obviously these kids' lives are hanging in the balance of this because, where are they going to live if this deal goes through? Yeah,
they've kind of set that up as one of the central points of the story.
Yeah, save the orphanage.
Save the orphanage, and, how are you going to navigate these two different outcomes that, they're trying to build in Okinawa when you've got an orphanage to save. And, it's a reasonable setup because you've got the warring families and you've got the orphanage. You've got Kiryu's reputation and the family that he's working with in Okinawa. So there's a lot going on. So I don't dislike the setup of this game. It feels a little bit out of the ordinary, but I don't know. That's not necessarily bad, I guess.
No. We'll see.
It didn't feel quite as egregious as the beginning of Kiwami 1 with those nested fetch quests.
Yeah.
I didn't love some of the quests in the beginning of this game, but I didn't dislike them as much as I did the beginning of Kiwami 1, that's for sure.
Yeah. So we do have an email. It comes in from Dustin. He is playing along with us.
Wow, nice.
And his title is What's the Story, Morning Glory? Which is the name of an album, but I can't remember which one it is. I think it's Oasis.
Oasis, yeah.
Yes, that's right. He says, no sleep till done, Kamurocho. But first, Yakuza 3, the Orphanage Simulator. Nothing better than playing a game where you walk around to gather kids to come eat their dinner and help solve their problems like who stole their money and making sure you're not raising a bunch of racists. I'm looking at you, Riona. Can we talk about the name of the orphanage, Morning Glory, ran by one guy himself? At least it's not a girl-only orphanage, but still, poor choice in name, Kiryu. Or is it Aniki now? Seems suspect. Had to look up Aniki. It's a respectful way to address your older brother. Don't tell my older brother that. He'll probably demand me say it. Here's a fun fact. Kamurocho is a made-up town. It's based after Kabukicho in the Shinjuku ward of Tokyo that has a bunch of hostess clubs and live hostels.
Other than Bukakicho.
Yeah. If you went to Japan, do you think they still have hostess clubs? Would you go to one out of curiosity from playing this game?
I probably would. I hadn't played any of these games when I was in Japan, so I kind of wish that I would have a return trip, and I would like to do some exploring.
I would be too embarrassed to go to a hostess club.
It would be very awkward.
Yes. Especially since I'm married. I don't know if my wife would appreciate me going to a hostess club to where I can sit down at a bar and drink with women who I have to pay to drink with me.
Please be my friend for the evening.
Yeah, I'm good. Let's get to the game. I like any scene with Majima. I like him better than Kiryu. You're not wrong. Kiryu comes into his own. I think he really does in this game. Kiryu's usually like the stoic dude who wants nothing to do with any of it, you know?
Yeah, virtuous. He's always being dragged into the conflicts.
Yeah, while Majima just goes head first and doesn't give a crap. Game starts off okay, then throws us back a few months to look after a bunch of orphans who were historically stereotyped as either brats or the golden child. And since it's Kiryu's orphanage, most of them have hearts of gold except Riona. She's a racist. God, we're going to keep pushing that. All right, so I have to explain that side story because it's being brought up here. So, Matt, you kind of touched on it. There was a kid who wanted to ask Riona out. And we tried to make him look cool by dressing him up, and it didn't work.
I tried to dress him up as I thought Kiryu would, with sunglasses and the dragon polo.
I did too.
Didn't work.
No. I don't think it ever works.
Yeah, I don't think there's any way around that.
Riona doesn't want anything to do with the guy, and he thinks it's because he looks different. So, this child, I can't remember what his name is. Mitsuo. He is darker skinned. I mean, I don't know what race he is, but he's obviously not native Japanese. And so she wants to hang out with these other kids, and she has a large burn on her arm, and all the other kids are making fun of her. She feels bad. Mitsuo comes up to her, and he's like, I don't think you're ugly. And, he's like, look at me. It's borderline like, woof, man, is this bad taste? But the kid's like, he's like, I'm dark all over. You don't have to worry about that. And she hugs him, and they have a moment, and they're fine now. And then there's one other time where a girl's money gets missing, and everybody starts blaming everybody, and then we get the culprit. Anyway, it's a whole bunch of like life lesson crap with the kids.
Yeah.
Anyway, he just keeps pushing the racist thing. Riona's not racist. She's a kid. I find it funny walking around and random people just walk up to Kiryu and want to fight him. How bad do these guys need money that they pick a fight with a guy who looks like Kiryu? Isn't there some shorter, wimpier guy walking around, not some 6-foot whatever walking tank that can kill you with his stare? Also, I like how my money has adjectives. I received moldy 5K or a sweaty 10K. Nice touch. Fighting.
Yeah, I think so. I had some smelly money as well.
Yeah. Fighting still sucks. I'm playing on normal. Leveling isn't the best since you don't really know what you can unlock the further you into a stat you invest in. But this way, I'm investing more into other stats I didn't necessarily do in the past games. How was that golfing mission? Probably worst golf simulator I've ever played. Good thing they gave you infinite mulligans. I needed them. Did you guys golf? Do you guys golf? Have you ever tried? I golfed with my dad as a kid. It's quite enjoyable and a fun time with a couple of buddies and some beer. Matt, have you ever played golf before?
I have played a lot of mini golf. I actually recently played foot golf. Recently, I guess it was like 2 years ago, 3 years ago, maybe at this point. But I played foot golf once, which was an entire like 18-hole golf course, but you kick a soccer ball.
Never heard of that.
Yeah, I had never heard of it before. I did that once. I played a lot of disc golf.
Sure.
So disc golf, mini golf, foot golf, and I've played a little real golf. I've done a par 3 once. I go to the driving range a few times, mini golf as often as possible. Real golf, like twice ever. Once with my dad and once with some friends. And it was pretty fun, and I was pretty bad.
Yeah. That's what I would be really bad. But I have never played an actual round of golf. My dad and I, it was almost like a ritual. For some reason, Dad knew these people that ran a pawn shop. The pawn shop had some old golf clubs, and Dad was like, you know what? I'm going to buy those. He bought them. And me and him, like for years, really got into going to the driving range. I've never played golf in my life, but I have knocked the living crap out of balls at a driving range probably 100 times.
Yeah. Oh, you've been to the driving range 100 times?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Damn. I've been like 5 times.
No, there was a driving range that was really close to our house. It shut down, but when I was like 13, 14, 15, 16, me and Dad went like almost every Saturday.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, I mean,
I actually felt really good last time I went. I mean, most balls were hit poorly to mediocrely, but every once in a while I'd connect on a good one, and it felt good.
Yeah. Me and I know we're planning on doing it for my friend's bachelor party. He really wanted to go to Top Golf, and there's one probably about an hour away from here, so it looks like we're going to Top Golf in December, which is like a simulated driving range. I think
I've seen one. I've never been to one.
Yeah. I've never been to one either, but hey, I'm down for that. Sure. I don't know why he wanted to do that. I guess he just really wanted to do it. It's his party. We'll do whatever he wants.
I played some good VR golf.
Yeah, dude, I'm a huge fan of like video game golf.
Yeah.
Like, I couldn't tell you like Everybody's Golf,
Hot Shots,
or like the new one is called Everybody's Golf. I was really deep into that. Mario Golf. I really want to play the new one on the Switch. It came out like a couple months ago. But
yeah,
I heard it only had like 4 courses. I know they've added them after the fact, like in patches and stuff like that. But I was like, really, 4 courses? Because that's my jam. Mario Golf is my jam. I absolutely love it.
I've dabbled in it once or twice. Never really put any serious time into it.
I probably put 30 hours into the 3DS version.
Oh, nice.
Oh, I absolutely love that series. And Hot Shots Golf's great, too. Like, Everybody's Golf that was on the PlayStation 4 was pretty good. It was pretty good.
I've really enjoyed the VR golf, except it's caused me to bash my hand into the wall at least 3 times.
Ow.
On the backswing. So I'm not sure how well that the Quest 2 controllers are holding up after that, but that's actually been one of my most fun games I've played in VR, if only because it's been so easy to play with friends.
Right.
And just kind of talk for a while you're golfing.
There you go. It says, anyway, you adopt a dog by doing a bunch of fetch quests. Isn't that ironic? Or not. I understand that word 65% of the time.
Huh. Speaking of the pawn shop, I went in there looking for a bone. They didn't have any.
Next, you fight some Yakuza, and a bunch of political stuff happens. military base or resort. Who cares? It's Kiryu's land, and if it's legal and totally understandable for him to be evicted, by God, Kiryu is not going to budge. Wouldn't it be easier just to buy him a new building on a beach to move his orphanage to? It's not like there isn't more beach on that damn island. Speaking of beaches, did you get the cutscene with the weird couple in front of the orphanage? Kiryu talked about how he helped them in the past. Not sure if one of you guys happened to do their side quest and what game it was from, but I sure didn't. I did get that, and I have no idea who those people are.
Yeah, same. But they were also headed to Kamurocho, or to Tokyo, so I imagine we'll see them again in the game.
Yeah, I'm assuming. Maybe they were from Yakuza 2? I don't remember. But, so I guess we could talk about that. It starts off, the guy and girl, Kiryu's like, oh, it's these people again. I'm like, who the fuck are these people? But they're on the beach right in front of the orphanage, and they're just messing around. There's a gratuitous butt shot.
Yeah.
And the guy says, hey, yeah, we're engaged. We're getting ready to get married. And he's like, oh, well, good. I'm glad stuff worked out for you. But then she seems like she's scheming against him.
Yeah, and Kiryu says something about oh, you guys are better now, right? And they're like, oh yeah, we got engaged. So whatever happened in the past must not have been the most romantic or positive encounter.
So we run into them again. They're out shopping, and she mentions she has to go to a pawn shop, but then she corrects herself. And I'm like, oh, this woman's scamming this guy. Okay. And then she's like, I got to go back to the beach. I forgot something. And he, of course, chases after her. So we go back to the beach. And this is while I'm ready to leave. I'm already in my suit, ready to go to Kamurocho.
Yeah.
And I was like, all right, fine, I'll do it. So I went back to the beach, and they're up there. He's confronting her. You're just scamming me out of my money. That's all you wanted. You didn't want to marry me. And she's like, no, that's not it. And we have to answer a whole bunch of little questions. It's not questions, it's giving, it's just retorts basically. And I'm like, this woman's scamming him, so I should make it to where the guy realizes she's scamming him. But then I never got answers that were helping either person. And I was like, what? Well, come to find out, the woman's not scamming him. She doesn't want to marry him because she's actually his sister. And
that's weird.
Yeah, and she found him. And I'm like, why would you play it off like you were interested in the guy why don't you just tell him, hey, I'm your sister. I found you. I want to have a relationship with you. A family relationship. Instead, she pretended to be interested in him.
Yeah, I didn't make it that far, but that's weird.
Yeah, that's basically it. And I'm just like, and then that side mission ends, and I get 20,000 experience for it. So I was like, I'll take it. Can I go to Kamurocho now?
Yeah, let me out. Let me out of Okinawa.
Yep. And he says, basically, the first 4 chapters of this game is a bunch of nothing until you finally fly to Kamurocho and get introduced to some new lieutenants. And there's a war coming. Hopefully this game picks up because the first third, it was a snooze fest.
Yes, and it is a third. Looks like there's 12 chapters.
Yes, there are 12 chapters. So we are about a third way through the game. So 2 more episodes of this, and we can wrap it up. How are you feeling about it, Matt?
Yeah, still pretty good. I feel like we haven't started it yet. I feel like we're just getting to the game now.
Yeah, that's exactly how I feel too.
And again, I don't really dislike it. I just feel like nothing's happened yet.
It's definitely about to ramp up. If Phil.
Yeah.
Obviously, we got to figure out what's going on with Daigo. Obviously, long lost father's alive and well and shooting people. We got to figure out what's going on there with Kazuma.
I mean, sometimes they come back, and when they come back, they're disgruntled. I mean, I've seen Pet Sematary. I know what happens to the cat and Gage, the kid, and the wife. I mean, nobody comes back from the dead and is happy, usually.
Yeah. Or sometimes they come back, the movie.
Yeah.
Is that Stephen King?
Yep.
That's what I was thinking. Yeah, sometimes they come back. And then they made a second one called Sometimes They Come Back Again.
And then I think they made a third one.
Sometimes they come back a third time.
Sometimes they keep coming back.
Sometimes they just keep coming back. Why don't these dead people just stay dead?
I gotta learn the double tap.
I guess. And then next thing you know, you're sitting on the side of your bed, and this little evil kid slashes your Achilles tendons with. Poor Mr. Munster.
Yeah.
Is it Fred Munster? Is that who it was?
Fred, yeah. The thick Maine accent.
Yeah. Oh man. That movie. For anyone who doesn't know, I'm referencing Pet Sematary. The first one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, the original and the first one, because they made a sequel.
Did they make a sequel of Pet Sematary?
Yep.
Wow.
They made a sequel, and it's actually got what's the actor's name? He was in he was in Shawshank, one of the Stephen King prison movies where he's a guard.
I don't know.
What was his name? I don't know if you'd call him a good actor. He's not super famous, but he's definitely recognizable, I'd say.
Okay.
Sure if you would know his name. Oh, Clancy Brown.
Clancy Brown.
What is he most famous for? Shawshank. He was in Starship Troopers, Nightmare on Elm Street remake.
Correct me if I'm wrong. Clancy Brown was also in Detroit Become Human, right?
He definitely does remind me of the older guy from that.
Yeah, that's him.
Was it him? Okay.
Yeah, that's him.
I feel like I always recognize him, but he's never made it to top tier or even second tier.
He's actually a pretty big voice actor. In fact, I believe he's always played Lex Luthor.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, he has done a lot of... He was Mass Effect Andromeda, voice acting, Ninja Turtles, TV show, Star Wars Rebels.
Yeah, he's a pretty big voice actor.
Ultimate Spider-Man TV show for years. Sleepy Hollow TV show for years. Yeah, he's been in a lot.
Anyway. I mean, I could sit here and talk about Stephen King movies all day.
But yeah, no, Pet Sematary 2, if anyone hasn't seen it, probably don't. It's not very good.
Yeah. What's the worst Stephen King movie?
Oh, I just had to watch one. It's one of the ones I would say is the worst, but it's also one of my favorites, which is The Langoliers.
Oh, The Langoliers with...
I love that movie, but I had to watch it because Dean Stockwell died.
Yeah, I was about to say, rest in peace.
Yeah.
Yep, he passed away, 2 days ago?
Sunday, actually.
Sunday. Yep.
I only found out about it yesterday or the day before. But
yep. The Langoliers.
Spent a lot of time watching Quantum Leap in my day with my dad, actually.
Mm-hmm. The Langoliers is a okay movie. It's just the Langoliers look horrible.
Yeah. Stephen King's cameo is not great. The Langoliers themselves don't look great. It's clearly not super high budget, but for me, the reason I liked it was one of the same reasons I liked 12 Monkeys, in that it was kind of a unique theory on time travel. right? It's kind of a crazy thing to think that the past and the future are just like the future's just there waiting for us to inhabit it, and we move through it like a wave. And then once we pass through it, the Langoliers just gobble it up.
Yep. They eat existence.
Yeah, and it was just kind of interesting. I'm like, oh, I never even thought of time travel like that. It's kind of cool.
Yeah. I'm trying
And also just like the premise, like when it starts, of most of the people on this plane have disappeared. There's nobody, like everybody on Earth appears to have disappeared. And like that's just an intriguing mystery to start the movie with. And I tend to like a lot of airplane-based mysteries anyway. I don't know why. But anyway, yeah, not a great movie, but definitely an interesting movie.
Yeah.
And Dean Stockwell's just great.
I'm trying to imagine, like, that was a made-for-TV movie, right?
Yeah, I think so.
That's what I was thinking. Can't remember. I made a bunch of those back in the day.
Yeah, especially Stephen King ones, like The Stand miniseries was on TV.
Yeah.
Langoliers was on TV as a couple of parts.
Red Rose, or Rose Red, what was it called?
Rose Red, yeah.
Rose Red. What was oh god, he redid The Shining.
Oh yeah, with Steven Weber.
Yep.
That was a good miniseries. Tommy Knockers, I think, was a made-for-TV miniseries.
Yep. Yep. Did he do The People Under the Stairs?
I don't think so.
Okay. That's a trippy movie.
The It miniseries is pretty good.
Yeah.
Tim Curry.
I can't take him seriously in that role. Because I know it's Tim Curry, and you could tell he's just having a ball.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
Anyway, Clancy Brown.
Yeah. Is it bad that we're talking more about this than we are Yakuza?
Yeah, well, we'll be back at Yakuza when some things actually happen. I mean, to be fair, a lot of things happened in the first 4 chapters. Just a lot of boring things happened also. And is it really worth talking about the fact that we went and, like, had to convince this dog to come back to the orphanage with us?
Yeah, it was a fetch quest. It was boring.
Yep. And it took a lot longer than it should have.
Yeah, because you had to run around this friggin' town, and you had to buy stuff. And I can't stand those quests in Yakuza where there's like, hey, could you get this for me? And you have to go to a store, and it's a particular store to buy this one thing.
Yeah, and they do that a couple of times already here, where it's like something you have to trigger something, but it sometimes doesn't even tell you how to trigger it. It's like just wander around until something happens. At least that's what happened with me with the bone, because there was no way for me to know where to get this bone, and I walked into a bunch of stores until the game told me, "Hey, you're not gonna, this bone doesn't exist. Better go tell whatever her name was."
So did you have to go eventually go get the ball?
Nope.
Oh, yeah.
Well, I mean, maybe I should have.
So if you go get the ball, if you say, yeah, they like balls, you have to go back to the orphanage, borrow one of the kids' balls, and take it back to them. I'm saying balls a lot.
I did actually find a box that washed up on the beach that had a squishy ball in it. I wonder if that would have worked.
Maybe.
Huh. I think I already convinced the dog to come back before I found the ball, though. So
Yeah.
if that was what it was meant for, that wasn't really effective for me anyway.
Yeah. And then play baseball.
Yep. Until that kid hurt himself.
Yep.
Akira.
Yep.
And then we've got there's a couple of political characters we didn't really touch on. There's the teacher whose kid is a bully. Mm-hmm. That's got to come back since it's already reared its head twice.
Yep, that happened.
And then the local politician that he was apparently friends with.
Mm-hmm.
I don't remember his name though. Akasashi or Akahashi.
I don't even know. That's the guy we played golf with.
Yeah. Anyway, maybe some of the stuff will come back and it'll all come full circle.
Don't hold your breath. That's all I'm saying. But yeah, that's going to be it for us. I appreciate everybody listening. If you'd like to send us an email, it is drew@ztgd.com. You can also tweet to us. I am at DMLFury. Matt is at REMGS. And the podcast itself is at ZTGD Phoenix Down. But yeah, that's going to be it for us. I know it's not been the most exciting episode, but that's okay. We're getting there. It's definitely ramping up now. We're back in our old hometown, and we're raring to go. There's a Yakuza war going, or Yakuza war coming. So I'm sure we're going to get right in the middle of that.
That's what the dragon does.
That's what he does. But yeah, that's going to be it for us. Until next time, I am Drew.
And I'm Matt.
And we are out of here. You guys have a great week, and we'll be back next week with the continuation of Yakuza 3.